Hello, hello, hello. Tere tulemast. Marhaba. I think I have quite a lot of. I think I have a lot of viewers from all across the world. So, wherever you are, I wish you a very nice good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on wherever you are. Now, I really hope that you can hear me and see me okay, because I spent quite a lot of time trying to test this out. But if there is any issues or any problems, then I hope you forgive that, because in the future I will definitely make sure that I learn from it and make it better. So that said, I think I really wanted to do a live stream because I wanted to do something a little bit more casual. It's been quite a long time since I've been making videos on YouTube quite regularly, which is not an easy thing if you know about YouTube. If you know anything about YouTube, I think it's one of the hardest platforms ever, and it certainly takes. I think the only reason why anyone can sustain continually on YouTube, or maybe anything, is just that if you really, really love it. If you really love something, you will do that regardless of any appreciation or like return, because because the thing itself is doing something that you really, really love. Okay, so despite the fact that I wanted to make this a little bit too casual and very low key, there are still some things that I wanted to share, and I wanted to talk a little bit about them. I don't think I will make this stream very long, so I think people can definitely watch it afterwards as well. Okay, so first thing, I think the most asked question for me, even when I'm not making videos on YouTube, is from people who are thinking of moving to Europe, particularly Estonia. And I get questions from all walks of life, whether it's businessmen, students, anybody that you could think of. I think I've answered people from all across the world. So I want to talk a little bit about who is the best person to move to Estonia in 2025. I think there has been quite a lot of changes in Estonia in the last 10 years since I've been there. And there are a lot of pros and cons that you need to consider when you think about moving to Estonia. But I think I can tell you the person most suited for Estonia, if you want to move, who should be the profile of the person that should definitely absolutely move there, and the profile of a person that should definitely never ever think of moving there. The right person and the most wrong person. So the right person, I think, is the person who has a business. So the right person is somebody who is a businessman who has a lot of capital, probably a startup, a lot of funding, already have companies or already established companies. On the other hand, another right person could be somebody who's like a freelancer or somebody who's a remote worker who earns quite a lot. But I would not even put them quite higher, because if you earn quite a lot, then there are much better places, and you're like a digital nomad, then yeah, there are quite much better places that you can move to. But I think being a businessman and somebody who has a lot of capital is definitely a good opportunity to move to Estonia, because still Estonia has a lot of, the same thing that is originally advertised about Estonia is that the digital ecosystem is quite good. Like, it's still very good. Like, you can open a company there. I still think that it's very difficult for people from third world countries, like for example, if you're from India or Bangladesh or Pakistan, there is no open policy that discriminates against that, but they definitely prefer people from first world. So, for example, majority of the people obviously move from Europe, and then obviously majority of the people, of course, think from moving to US as well. So yeah, if you're from the US, you have a lot of capital, you maybe have a job offer, and you like peace and quiet, then Estonia is definitely a really, really good place. It's definitely a place that you should consider moving towards. Another good person that should move to Estonia is you have a family as well, because I think the family benefits in Estonia and the structure and the safety that they have is like almost unparalleled. Like it's very safe. It's great for children. It's great for raising children. And if you have also a family, then you should definitely think about that. What else should you think about moving to Estonia? Yeah. Okay, so these are the people that I think that should definitely move to Estonia. People who should not think of moving to Estonia, if you're looking for immigration and if you're looking for moving towards a country that has that can give you a passport, which is the dream for majority of the people in the developing world, that like you move towards a different country and then you eventually get a passport and then you get all the benefits and the rights and you get a good job. Estonia is not there, because Estonia is on one hand extremely expensive. In the last like 3 or 4 years, I've seen many people moving away from Estonia because it has gotten so expensive. A lot of it had to do with the fact that there was a war going on, and overall everything became really expensive across in Europe. Obviously, the bigger economies like Germany, they were able to contain the inflation somehow, but no, not Estonia. Estonia is like such a small country that any problems in the global economy, Estonia is really sensitive to that. So yeah, this means that prices became really expensive, and it became almost unsustainable to live there if you're not a resident, or if you want to actually improve your quality of life for raising your standard of living. Yeah, so definitely not for immigration. Students, I would still consider no, but there was a time when a lot of people wanted to move to Estonia because they had Estonia had good policies for students. I mean, I think the tuition fee was waived. There was no tuition fee. But then again, the same thing, that the war started between Russia and Ukraine, and then all the resources were diverted towards the people who were moving from Ukraine to Estonia. So yeah, that again became that the tuition fees were raised. International students were not encouraged to come, especially again from the third world, developing world. And then it became really hard to move to just be a student and move to Estonia. So yeah, definitely not the best place if right now, at least if you're a student. And I mean, I get a lot of questions from people who are actually thinking of moving to Estonia as a digital nomad, or because you have quite a lot of if you have like income of about, right, I think it's about 4,500 euros a month, and you're able to work remotely, then you can move to Estonia and apply for a digital nomad. Again, there are many other countries that are offering that. I think UAE is offering that. There are other countries, even apart from Europe, there are countries offering that. Japan, for example, I think it's starting to offer something like that. So again, I think Estonia really needs to consider how competitive they can be in this modern world. Again, if you know, the taxes were recently raised from 20% to VAT to 22%, and now I think they will be raised even further from next year to 24%. And that means that everything is really, really going to be very, very expensive. So yeah, shameless plug-in here is that, again, if you are thinking of moving to Estonia and you are worried about cost, then I have a cost of living guide for Estonia, which you can purchase. And the good thing about that is that it gives you a fairly decent overview of what your cost could be if you move to Estonia. Just an idea, just to give you an idea of like how much money you should have in your bank account. Again, there is also another thing that a lot of people that I know who had admissions, wanted to move to Estonia, even with jobs, the visa restrictions are kind of becoming intense as well. So this means that visa is a big hurdle now. You really need a good application, which wasn't the case like about 7, 8, 9 years ago when Estonia was actively looking for more people. So all in all, yeah, I think it has gone downhill quite much, very much downhill. The thing that Estonia most prized itself on was, the digital ecosystem, the startup ecosystem. A lot of countries are ahead of that. Even it's surprising to say that, but even Ukraine is ahead of that in Estonia, for example, recently. Actually, Estonia has launched this app, a universal app about like state, but after so many years and so many iterations, many countries are moving ahead. So I think, yeah, Estonia really needs to consider and really needs to define its competitive edge. Otherwise, yeah, it's going to be really, really difficult, particularly when you think of a hostile neighbor on your eastern flank as well. So, yeah, of course, that makes it not easy as well. But you also have to think of the people. And the people that I always talk about, or I always talked about used to back when I used to make videos about Estonia, were the people who were service workers. For example, firefighters or uh, people who were service workers and like policemen, for example. I mean, they were getting such low salaries, and pensioners. It's hard to imagine how people could live there with such low salaries and such high uh, expenses. I remember back in 2020, I made a video for the first time. I think that was like the first sort of popular video that I made was about cost of living in Estonia. And at that time, people like made a lot of fun, and they said that you know it's you're wrong and this. But I actually traveled to Sweden and I compared two products which were the same, and then it was actually more expensive in Estonia than in Sweden back in 2020. And now, I mean, for like 2 years, it's unimaginable that I never thought I would see that Estonians are actually going to Finland to buy groceries. Like that is how expensive it's been. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, this was a little bit about the most asked question, because I don't know, for some reason I've sort of become an authority on Estonia, despite not like really wanting it, uh, because obviously I've made like 400 videos on just this one topic about Estonia, and then I really wanted to like move ahead, and that was the whole goal for moving ahead, starting from this year. So yeah, that was about Estonia. But we have a few people watching, so thank you everybody for joining. Thank you to everybody. So we have Mr. Cloudless here. And then we have Mr. Edward London. Hello. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, you can just write them here and I will answer them. So yeah, I think the second thing that I really wanted to talk about were like some personal things as well. So since this year, I have been traveling. So February onwards, I have been traveling towards. I traveled to Canada. I traveled to UAE. Currently, I'm in Pakistan, and I've been here for a few months as well. And I think I a little bit wanted to talk about some reverse cultural shocks that are that feel very weird. Because I was born and raised in Pakistan. I lived like till my early 20s. I lived in Pakistan. And then I moved abroad. I lived in Germany. And then I also lived in Estonia, of course. And coming back, it's sort of like such a big cultural shock to see everything that has changed and everything that has not, and everything how that is different. I think, well, obviously, there are good and bad things about that as well. The good thing about being here or staying in Pakistan is, of course, the weather, because, I mean, not right now, because right now we have like, well, let's just say we have oven right now here in Pakistan, because right now, today was like about 48 degrees, and it's crazy. It's crazy, crazy hot right now. It's unimaginably hot. Like, I don't know how to really express that. If you ever been in a bad sauna, like there is a Finnish sauna, right, that works at about 90-95 degrees. But then there's also like saunas, which are sort of like bad saunas that Finnish and Estonian people don't like, and they work at like about, I think, 60, 70 degrees. So it's kind of like the same feeling if you go out in this kind of weather. Yeah, so weather is of course a big thing, and then of course the people, because I think no matter how much you are, no matter where you're from, I think where you live really affects you, because I think I am very much Estonian now. I mean, I really, really value my personal space. I have always been an introvert, and in a country like, for example, these Eastern countries, like Middle Eastern countries, that where I'm from, Pakistan or India or Bangladesh or Sri Lanka, people are very nosy. Like people, there is a very severe lack of, like personal space, and that really makes you question: is it normal here, or is it normal where? What do you think? So personal space is another thing that I've carried over, and I don't think I want to leave it, because it's just like people get in your face and people get really, really close to you, and that is something that I miss, even though I make fun of Estonians and Finnish people a lot for that. So, and the second thing is, of course, it's a little bit heartbreaking to say that, but when you're in a developed country, when you're in a first world country, after a certain while, your default response when you meet a new person is that I will trust that person by default unless proven otherwise. Like by default, I will trust that person, whether it is with the business negotiations, or whether it is with the personal meetings, or whether it is with, just social things. Your default response is not to look at a new person with suspicion. And it's so sad to say that after coming back, that your default response when you come back to, at least for me, is just that you can't. Your default response should always be that unless proven otherwise, I don't trust you. And sadly, this is so sad, but yeah, it is true. Yeah, it's very sad. It's heartbreaking to see. And then, of course, there is this fact of professionalism, and it's what I think that is that a person's word has value, and I think that distinguishes really a person from, really a professional from a non-professional. And here I feel that there are very few people whose word is valuable. Like people keep their word. Like I don't know, like something as simple as being punctual on time. You can assume by default that they will not be there on time. You can assume by default. Um, and then also working with people, it also feels very, like you have to continually push and make sure that things are done. You have to continually push people, and that is very, uh, again, something that is a bit of a challenge to deal with people. Even though I am the same, like I said, I'm born and raised here. I am from Pakistan. I am a Pakistani. But the fact that you live abroad for such a long time, you get all these habits, you get all these mentality, and it sort of become a part of you. Because, of course, these are much better to have rather than, like not being on time. Being on time is always good, no matter which culture you are from. So yeah, so it's been of a quite of a cultural uh, shock, and going through with this, and especially with socializing as well, or meeting new people, because as much as we think that the West is very superficial and materialistic, I think it's a lot more superficial and materialistic in general in the East. I feel in Pakistan, because I mean there are a lot of reasons for that, of course, but people don't. I feel that people don't value you rather than what is around you. So, for example, your family. Are you from an influential family? What sort of car you are driving? What sort of job you have? What sort of watch you're wearing? All these signals of wealth, this sort of, like people judge you for that. And whereas I think in Europe, at least in Europe, I think that the person had a lot more value than all these things. Like, for example, if you are, no matter what car you're driving, but if you take care of your health and your diet and you work out, then you have a lot more value as a person. For if you meet somebody new, I think you get what I mean. But yeah, I think that the society is, or maybe I am with not with the right people, which is true, of course. I think I just need to meet the right people. But you also get a feeling of like what your overall um, atmosphere is, right? What is the default? And the default here is, of course, yeah, that people can be very superficial. Um, it's still a very collective mentality that, I've talked about it before as well, that the West is more individual and the East is more collective. So yeah, then that tends to change things quite a lot. Okay, so I think the other thing that I really wanted to talk about was YouTube itself, and if I have any future plans for that. So I have been on YouTube for a very long time. I mean, this channel itself was made back in early 2000, I think 11. But I started regularly posting on YouTube during COVID time. So there was I tried everything. I made a vlog, daily vlog in Estonia for like 40 days, which was a really big challenge. I was really inspired by Casey Neistat, if you know, and I made a daily vlog. And that was like, in terms of like learning about YouTube, in terms of making videos, and in terms of doing all that, that was a really good learning experience. But other than that, I think I probably got like maybe, I don't know, less than 100 subscribers for all these 40 videos. So yeah, for the last 3 years though, I have been actively trying to pursue and make videos with a cadence of weekly um, weekly videos. and it's steadily been okay, but I still feel that there hasn't been that kind of growth that I feel, because as I said in the beginning, there is no other way to do YouTube unless you really, really love it. And I love YouTube. I think if I didn't love YouTube, then I would have given up a long time ago about this. But yeah, everything that I have learned since I moved abroad has been from YouTube. Like, I can give you an example that, um, and I've never had avocados before I moved to abroad, and I remember that I actually searched on YouTube on how to eat an avocado. Something, and you can, like, everything that I learned about cars, buying a car, basically being an adult, I think I learned from YouTube, and that has been like that is what made me fall in love with this platform, because it's pretty amazing. It's like so much. I've gotten so much from YouTube, and I just think this is a way for me to give something back. So yeah, um, I've been. So in the beginning, it was more about content focused directly towards Estonia. So, but I felt that I kind of exhausted that topic, even though majority of the people were interested in this topic, and I still get queries about this topic, because there are like 400 videos on every topic imaginable that you need to know about Estonia, from moving to living to health to cultural stuff to everything. I don't think there is any other resource available online. No, I don't think so. Not even the official sources. I think I have the most extensive library of content about Estonia on YouTube, particularly when it comes to foreigners for English-speaking countries. But yeah, since the beginning of this year, I actually wanted to diversify and actually wanted to move out and talk a little bit about other things that that might help me grow my channel. So one of the really popular videos that I made, I think probably a lot of you might know, was about the Soviet Union. And that sort of became like a really hit thing. The first one was about crazy things about the Soviet Union, and it was just like, I think there was some criticism on that video that I did not mention the time frames in which each of this topic was mentioned. But yeah, that was valid criticism. But since that, I have been actively trying to look for sources and mentioning that. Um, and yeah, since that, I've been like trying to think about more things about what topics could work out, trying to reach out to more audiences, particularly from English speaking countries. For example, the UK is one option. I think I have quite a few viewers from UK, and then of course there is the US as well, which is, yeah, one of my favorite places. The most fascinating place that I think is that yeah, I've been there, and I think it's really fascinating because I have a lot of American friends, and quite a lot of my family lives in the US as well. So I have been fortunate enough to go there. So yeah, that's sort of the audience that sort of came for these topics. But I think um, since because the last few videos that I make, um, yeah, I think it's been really a bit of challenging to find out exactly what that is. There is a question here, but I can answer that. I think it's best if you email. Okay. Um, so yeah, we're reaching about 30 minutes. um, I think I will uh, wrap up here, but I think I would actually like to Uh, I'd actually like to do these live streams a lot more, be a little bit more casual, because I feel that this the other format of like long form, heavily edited, very done YouTube videos, this sort of don't let out my voice. Like I don't feel like it sort of feels like I'm catering to the algorithm. But I think this is a format that I can be more spontaneous, and I can be more uh yeah, easy. So yeah, thank you for the 13 people who are still watching. Really appreciate that. um Breathe in, breathe out. Okay, thank you everybody for watching. I will end the live stream here, and I think I'm gonna do that again, and let's see if we can find a regular schedule and maybe regular topics to talk about these things, because I just don't want to talk about myself. You can talk about so many other things. There are international issues related to people, immigration. So much is happening in the world, and we can just talk about this stuff very casually, easily, over a cup of tea or coffee or a matcha. I love matcha. Okay, thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.